Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Happy Friday. Ooh, in the show these days, the Princess Dia. Anyway, hi. Hope you're all well. First thing I'm going to do is light a candle. Light it for Samantha because I'm going to talk about Samantha. Samantha Murphy. We're still waiting for this twonk, Patrick Orren Stephenson, to give up where her remains are. Of course, he's been charged with murder, with MURDER, hasn't he? Young lad. Was a bit of a surprise to everyone. So let's just have a look. Of course, this is Samantha. This is Samantha who went missing just on her morning jog. 51-year-old mother of three, training up for a marathon. Went on a normal morning jog in Ballarat in Australia, in the trail near to her home, sort of thing women do every day, people do every day, and just didn't come back because this was the last photo seen of her. She was out that morning clearing up after her dog, and then off she went on her jog, and unfortunately we don't know how yet. We don't know the exact details, but in some way she bumped into this horrible person, Patrick Orren Stephenson, who's only 22 years old. And somehow their paths crossed, and we don't know the details. The police say she jogged 7 kilometres to Mount Clear, and then there was an anomaly on her Apple Watch, which is why they think that. And they said it was, here's Patrick again, it was a deliberate, targeted attack. It was MURDER, not manslaughter, not hit and run. He's been charged with MURDER. Here he is. Just looks so young, doesn't he? You know, he's younger than my son. I mean, it's quite freaky to... I know he's a man, but to me, he's just a boy, really. So the thought that he's done something so horrible. And, this is Samantha with her husband, Mick, and the family when they were on holiday. 3 children. Very, very sad. Anyway, but they can't even give her a decent burial, can they? Because this horrible person, he's not cooperating with the police. He's refusing to. People say he's saying he's forgotten where he's put a body. Of course you would forget that, wouldn't you? Of course you would forget where you put someone's body. You know, it's the sort of thing you do every day. It's like brushing your teeth, isn't it? So how could you possibly remember? I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So that's who we're talking about. Anyway, there's no news on him giving up sort of where he has hidden her remains. But funnily enough, I was going to do a video about him today just to look more at him and his family, because of course he is the son of Orren Stephenson, who's sort of semi-famous, if you like, because he's an ex-NFL player. And apparently quite well known in the community. The family's well known in the community, respected in the community. The mayor had only good things to say about the family, and we don't really know anything about how they feel. Some people feel that they may have known about it. I don't know about that, but I feel for them, because the thought of finding out that your son had done something like that, it's not very nice for them either, is it? Anyway, so as I was looking today to get some information, I see that Patrick actually has been hit with some new charges, and that's what we're going to look at, as well as looking at the family. So just say hello. Hi, Kelly. Hi, BF. Yeah. Anyway. Hi to everyone watching at home. I know not everybody likes to join in the chat, but so let's stay on this topic, and we're going to look at what's been announced, that he is actually facing some more charges. But to be honest, these sort of raise a few questions for me. So let's have a look. I've just picked out there was a couple of news items that we're going to look at the videos and look at an article.
The man accused of killing Samantha Murphy is facing several new charges unrelated to the Ballarat mother's disappearance. Patrick Stevenson has been charged with drink and drug driving and careless driving following a single accident in Ballarat the day after last final. It will be 3 months tomorrow since mother of three, Ms Murphy, was seen alive when she left her Ballarat home to go for a run. Despite multiple searches, investigators have been unable to locate her body. Stevenson is due to return to court in August.
Yeah, so we've got to wait all the way till August before we can, find out any more sort of about the Samantha Murphy case. But what is it? So this is after the NFL final last year, which I don't know when that is. So, but last year, these charges that he's facing are from last year. Why did he not face these charges last year? That's my question.
AFL Grand Final. Police say the 22-year-old was on a motorbike in Ballarat. It slammed into a tree, and when highway patrol officers attended, he failed an alcohol test. Stevenson was taken to Ballarat Police Station, where they say he also failed a drug test. He's been charged with drink and drug driving plus careless driving. But his bigger legal battle is over the death of mother of three, Samantha Murphy, in February, who went missing during a morning run from her Ballarat home. A month later, he was charged with her murder, but he continues to be uncooperative with detectives who are yet to find Mrs Murphy's body despite repeated, widespread searches. Stevenson is set to face Ballarat Magistrates Court over both incidents on October 8. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
October 8. October 8. I thought he was going to court in August. See, I just don't understand why he's only just being charged with this now. Because why was he not charged last year? This boy's obviously got an alcohol and drug problem, hasn't he? He's got a big problem.
The man accused of murdering Ballarat mother...
We just listened to it again.
Samantha Murphy is facing new charges. Police have confirmed Patrick Stevenson was caught allegedly drunk and drug-affected after a crash in Ballarat just hours after last year's AFL Grand Final.
4 months before Patrick Orren Stephenson allegedly murdered Samantha Murphy, he was at the centre of more police attention. On the night of the AFL Grand Final, police say the 22-year-old was on a motorbike in Ballarat. It slammed into a tree, and when highway patrol officers attended, he failed an alcohol test. Stevenson was taken to Ballarat Police Station, where they say he also failed a drug test. He's been charged with drink and drug driving plus careless driving. But his bigger legal battle is over the death of mother of three, Samantha Murphy, in February, who went missing during a morning run from her Ballarat home. A month later, he was charged with her murder, but he continues to be uncooperative with detectives who are yet to find Mrs Murphy's body despite repeated, widespread searches. Stevenson is set to face Ballarat Magistrates Court over both incidents on October 8. Paul Dowsley, 7.
October 8. I thought it was August. Anyway, that seems like a long way away, doesn't it? Now, I don't know, it may be just me, but I don't know about the rest of you, but why do I get the impression that this boy has got away, has been sort of got away with a lot in his life? Do you think, hi Maria, do you think it's because of his dad? Do you think because of his dad, he's got away? Why was he not charged last year? They had him in custody. They gave him a drugs test and he was not charged. This is the whole trouble, isn't it? People getting away with things. I just get the feeling with this twonk that he's got away with everything through all his life. He's like, because he's got two sisters, hasn't there? It's him and two sisters. He's the only boy. So he's the chip off the old block. He's like the mini-me for Orren Stephenson, maybe. Maybe he's been allowed to get away with things. A bit like Stephen Stearns was. That's just the impression I get. I just get this absolute impression that he's got away, he's been sort of handed like or he's almost had like a silver spoon, hasn't he? You know, because and sometimes the more you feel like, the more people are treated, you know, he's not been made to face consequences. That's the impression I get now. I could be completely wrong, but just feels like that. Why are these charges coming out now? Maybe if he would have been forced to face responsibility last year, this would not have happened to Sam, because you have to presume he was probably drunk or drugged up. And now I'm thinking, was he going through those woods, through that bush on a motorbike, or was he on his car? Or, you know, maybe he went back then afterwards with his car. Maybe he was on a motorbike to begin with. You know, of course, we don't know all these details yet, but it brings up more questions, doesn't it? I agree, Kelly. I think it absolutely stinks. Anyway, let's just have a look at, want to just have a look at this article by the Daily Mail, talking about what life will be like. What life will be like on remand in prison for Patrick Orren Stephenson, who's accused of killing mum of three, Samantha Murphy. So an ex-inmate has spoken out about what jail could be like for the man accused of killing mother of three, Samantha Murphy. Police arrested Patrick Orren Stephenson, 22, on Wednesday. Well, this was a little while ago. This was in March, in the Ballarat suburb of Mount Clear, about 5 kilometres from Miss Murphy's Ballarat East home in Victoria. Stevenson, who has no connection to the Murphy family, was charged with murdering the mother of three on Thursday afternoon. So the arrest and murder charge marked the first significant breakthrough in what became Victoria's highest priority police inquiry since the 51-year-old vanished without a trace after leaving her home for a run in nearby Woo-Woo-Karong Regional Park at about 7 a.m. on February the 4th. And on Friday, he was taken from Ballarat to a prison in Melbourne. So he's in Melbourne. Reformed bank robber Russell Manser, who served 23 years behind bars in prisons across the country, said that Stevenson is likely to be housed in a protective unit that would safeguard him from the anger of other inmates. He'll be a protected species, Manser said. But the thing is, you know, he's like jailbait, isn't he? Patrick's, he's quite a good looking, sort of tall, muscular guy. So there's a lot of prisoners who'd be interested in him for the wrong reasons. And, you know, I don't know how he'll be looked on for killing Samantha. There'll probably be other men in there that have murdered women. So I don't know if it will be, because it's not a child, I suppose, that's involved. They don't like, you know, a lot of those men in there will have done crimes against women anyway. But I think he'd be a danger just for his age and for the way he looks, and maybe even because of his dad. You know, people who know anything that. Thing is, when you're in prison, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know, and I hope I never have to find out. But I would imagine when you're in prison, you just want to keep your head down. Like anything that attracts attention to you is not a good thing, is it? So Patrick is going to attract attention for various reasons. Anyway, so this Manser says he'll be a protected species. He'll be out of sight and out of range for anyone to bash him or do anything bad to him. Funny, isn't it? They get so protected, a bit like Stephen Stearns. I expect it's the same for him. They get so protective, but, you know, who was protecting Samantha? It's a bit galling, really, isn't it? Anyway, there he is with his girlfriend, Meg. So you can see he's a tall guy. You know, he just looks, this is what I keep saying, this is what a murderer looks like. Doesn't look, he's not a gibbering wreck or, you know, some guy tattooed all over and, you know, piercings everywhere. This is what a murderer looks like. An alleged murderer, I should say. It's alleged. He's innocent till he's proven guilty. So here is the bank robber guy, who I don't know why they put that picture of him. He's hardly got any clothes on, for God's sake. But that's the bank robber guy. So Mansa's comments come after Stevenson was arrested in the Ballarat suburb of Mount Clear. Now, he is the son. So this is him with his mum and dad. So this is his dad. He's only 41. They were very young when they had Patrick. He's only 41 years old. To have a 22-year-old son, that I know a lot of people do have children young, but that's very young, isn't it? Here's the guy. He looks quite scary, isn't he? So these are the sort of guys, I suppose. But he's probably not as violent as Patrick. So he's been a bank robber, but, you know, as far as I know, he hasn't committed any violence against women or whatever. So apparently he appeared in court, Patrick, in a bright orange high-vis worker's jacket, which wonder why he wore that. Anyway, to face charges of murdering Miss Murphy on February the 4th, the very day she disappeared. So the police think literally within running 7 kilometres away from her home, that's when it happened. She was, that she was murdered virtually immediately. So he's given no cooperation. He's given no indication. I hope you. That's his mum, Whitney. Whitney, I hope you're talking to him and saying to him he's got to say where this woman is. I hope so. I hope I can only hope that both of them, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but I would hope that both his parents are, because I certainly would not stop saying to him, you've got to say where this woman is, because they have to be able to, that family, Samantha's family of 3 children and her husband, Mick, they have to know, they have to be able to give her a burial. This is just foul what he's doing. As I've said many times, he's just carrying on, offending. Just every day that he does not say where she is, it's worse and worse and worse for that family. Leaving them like that, not knowing where she is, can't say goodbye properly to her, thinking of her lying out there, alone, and God knows what's animals and God knows what. It's just foul, I just get so angry about it. And I just hope, like, Whitney will be quite young as well. So if the dad's 41, Whitney's probably a similar age. So mum and dad, Orren and Whitney, you need to tell your son, for once in his life, he has to face responsibility. I bet you've let him off with everything all his life, and now it's time that he faces responsibility for his own actions, for God's sake. So her family remained desperate for closure, with her husband, Mick Murphy, on Friday pleading for Stevenson to cooperate with the police. We are hoping he has a bit of a change of heart and that he will cooperate, and that will help bring her home. We just like some answers now. That's it. They've been told that she's dead and she isn't coming home alive. And now, they just want to know what's happened. So, as we know, Shane Patton confirmed that he had not disclosed the location of Miss Murphy's body. And also, we don't know what the specific evidence is that led to his arrest. But it's understood that a large part of Victoria Police's investigation was CCTV footage from around East Ballarat. And officers recently obtained videos from a light industrial and residential area with homes and businesses in Ellsworth, Joseph and Butt Streets, confirming that police requested their security footage. And Ellsworth Street leads to bushland managed by Parks Victoria, but it's not known if any of the footage obtained shows Miss Murphy or any vehicles of interest. So officers have also searched the area, which includes car detailing, roller door and gymnasium businesses. However, Commissioner Patton revealed police would not continue planned searches over the weekend unless the location of Miss Murphy's remains were uncovered by other means. And dedicated volunteers, as we know, the volunteers have scoured Ballarat bushland for weeks but have found no trace of the missing mother. So, I mean, the police they're constant. They've said they are going to do more searches. They said that after this article was done, but they will be targeted searches where they're working through all the information that's been supplied by the public. But you know, he could just make it all so much easier, couldn't he? He could just you know, do something decent for God's sake and say where he is, where she is. Hi, Barbara. Okay, so now we're going to have a little look at his family, at his dad. And as I say, his dad's like this semi, you know, he was famous, but he only played a few matches. You know, Australian football, I know absolutely nothing about it. So anything I'm reading out to you is just what I'm going to read you really Wikipedia, what Wikipedia says about him. And we're going to look at some information about him in other articles, but I know absolutely nothing about Australian football. But anyway, he was born on the 5th. This is his dad now we're talking about. Let me put a picture up so that you can look at it. Oops. I always find like this picture that I'm going to put up now is sad, because this is his dad and him when he was young, you know, before he did this horrible thing, when he was just a young boy. What went wrong? What went wrong with Patrick? You know, and I know things do go wrong, and teenagers, they go through, you know, they do things that are, you know, I'm sure we've all done it when we've been teenagers. We all do things that perhaps we might wish we'd not done, but not murder, you know, not that's like, you know, not teenagers don't do that. I'm talking about things that teenagers do, like experiment a little bit with drugs probably, and drinking. I never really was interested in drugs, but, you know, in my era it was drinking. We'd go out drinking. But even then, you know, and I've done things that, you know, I wouldn't say I've done anything terrible, but I've done daft things that I look back now and I think, oh my God, fancy doing that. Or, you know, it's hard to explain really, but, you know, but not like most teenagers did. I bet there's not many people who say that while they were teenagers, they were like saints who never did anything wrong, but not this. So what changed this boy here? You know, just looks like a young, innocent little boy, happy with his dad. This appear to have a good relationship. I mean, who knows the truth? Of course, you don't know what happens behind closed doors. But was he indulged too much? You know, because quite often it isn't people from deprived backgrounds that go on and do horrible things. You know, quite often it is people that, you know, ostensibly had fantastic childhoods, like Ted Bundy. That's what he was always telling us, what a great childhood he had. You know, and it was nothing to do with his family and this, that, and the other. But they still go on to do these things. So what made this boy do it, I wonder? I mean, are they just born that way? I'm a great believer in that. I do think some people, unfortunately, they're just born wired wrong, you know, because I've seen people who were dragged up and they never did anything bad. Not really bad, not like violence against a person. I mean, they might have done some shoplifting or taking a few drugs, or, you know, that's different from violence against a person, and certainly murder, and we can only presume there may have been an sex assault. I mean, we don't know all the details. So what made this little boy, you know, change? What happened? Was he already like that? Was he literally born like that? Or was it just, I don't know, you know, was he indulged too much, and in fact maybe he just went, maybe it was drugs, because I tell you what, drugs can, I know alcohol's bad, but drugs, I've seen it, this skunk cannabis and stuff like that, it can change young people's brains when their brains are still forming. It is absolutely dangerous for them to smoke skunk marijuana, and I know that for a fact because I've had that experience in my family, and we've had to go to psychologists, etc. And this cannabis, now I'm not talking about like old-fashioned cannabis, you know, it used to get like oxo cubes. I'm talking about this skunk cannabis. It's full of chemicals. It is absolutely lethal, and I do blame that for a lot of young people doing bad things. not only boys. You know, that's the other thing to remember. It's not only boys that do bad things. So let's hear what Wikipedia's got to say about his dad. So yeah, he was born 15th of July 1982, and he was born in Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. And it says his height. Oh, he's 6'7" as well. You know, because Patrick is 6, so Patrick must be pretty tall then. Also, it was Riley Strain I was thinking of that. So because I think my son is 6'6", something like that. So he's taller, 104 kilos, 229 pounds. You know, so he's a big guy. So we've got to presume, I suppose, that Patrick's a big guy as well. Anyway, he's an Australian rules footballer who played for the Geelong Football Club and the Richmond Football Club in the Australian Football League, the AFL. He was originally drafted by the Geelong Football Club in the 2011 AFL draft at the age of 29. So he was quite old in football terms when he got drafted. He was the oldest first-time draftee in AFL draft history. Anyway, he grew up in the southern New South Wales towns of Albury, Wagga Wagga and Griffith. He mainly played rugby league as a junior before he met his wife, Whitney. And it was at the Mangopla Crocodinia United East Lakes Football Club where he got his first taste of senior Australian rules football. So as I say, I don't know anything about Australian football, but I know I've got a lot of Australian viewers out there who'll know a little bit more about it. And all these details I'm getting from Wikipedia because, you know, that's, I don't know anything about football in itself. I'm just literally taking these details from Wikipedia. So in 2002, apparently, he moved his young family to Ballarat. Gosh, and that was a bad day for Ballarat, wasn't it? When he came to live in Ballarat in central Victoria. And that is where his wife Whitney's family lives, apparently. He started playing football for the Redan Football Club. And after 2 premiership wins in 2002 and 2003, and then winning their Best and Fairest award in 2004, he joined the North Ballarat Football Club in 2005. So in 2002, so he was 2002, so he was only 20. So he was born in 1982. So if he moved in 2002 to Ballarat, he was 20, and they already, I don't know how many children they had already, but they already had a family. So he's been a member of 4 VFL Premiership teams, 3 with North Ballarat in 2008, 2009, 2010, and 1 with Geelong in 2012. He won the Norm Goss Medal as the best player on the ground in the 2009 Grand Final. He was named in 4 VFL Teams of the Year and represented the VFL twice in interstate matches. So he was selected by Geelong in the 2011 AFL National Draft to replace the retiring Brad Ottens. He played his first AFL game against Fremantle in round 1 of 2012 due to injuries to Nathan Vardy and Dawson Simpson. So I'm presuming that the AFL is like the Premier League in the UK, like the Premier Football League, like, you know, it's be a big thing to play in the Premier League, the sort of the pinnacle of a career, really, to become a Premier League player. Anyway, then he was subsequently delisted by Geelong following the 2012 AFL season and drafted to the Richmond Tigers with pick number 36 in the 2013 rookie draft. This is like a foreign language to me, but never mind. I'm sure there's some of you out there that will understand. On 11th of March 2014, he was elevated to the club's senior list and then delisted at the conclusion of the 2014 season. So his personal life. Stevenson is married to his high school sweetheart, Whitney, with whom he shares 2 daughters and a son. And of course, that son is Patrick. He is qualified as both an electrician and a telecommunications technician. Well, Patrick was a tradie as well, wasn't he? So I presume, did he work with his dad? I wonder. You know, interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going to. Oh, it's that Herald Sun. So that's a bit of background information about Orren Stephenson, Patrick's dad. We're going to have a look at some other things about him. So let me put some windows down and I'll just come back to the chat, make sure you're all okay. Hi, Alana. Geelong. Well, VFL players are hero worshipped. Yeah. Yeah, so it's obviously like the big thing, isn't it, in Australia? Yeah. Okay, let's look at some more information about him. It's just interesting to try and see the background, because when you see, let's have a look. Let me share this. Oh, I need to take that off. You know, you just think, gosh, I mean, because they were just an ordinary family to all intents and purposes, really. What shock it must have been for them. You know, an absolute shock for them, don't you think? I mean, I just cannot imagine how it is for the family. Now, I found an interesting article on him. Last time when I was looking, but that's Wikipedia. Yeah, I found an article about him. Yeah. Okay, so this is an interview that he did in August 2016. Tell us about growing up playing rugby in regional New South Wales. At which age did you first discover Aussie rules? When I was about 10, I started playing rugby league in Albury. Mum and Dad were keen for both my brother and I to play. Oh, so he's got a brother as well. So it's obviously they're a sporty family. So from then we played junior rugby league in Albury, Griffith and Wagga. When I was 17, I spent the last half of the year playing Saturday Aussie rules at MCUE. My first coach was Brendan Robertson Dalton, Bailey medal winner from the 90s and Sunday Rugby League at Wagga Brothers. How did you find your way to Redan and what were your initial impressions of the club? Here we go. So my wife Whitney's family is from Ballarat. That is just, it's a shame, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, when you look back, like how all this came together, like him falling in love with Whitney and her being from Ballarat. So they ended up coming to live in Ballarat. And at the same time, Samantha and Mick were doing their things, you know, and they've ended up living where they lived. And all these are like pieces all coming together to create like a perfect storm, isn't it? All leading up to that day when poor Samantha just went out for a run and met Evil in the bush there, you know, and the Evil was this man's son. Where this man, when his son was young, would have had no idea that his son was going to turn out like that, would he? It's just, It's like all the pieces of the jigsaw over the years, when you go back, all the jigsaw's pieces coming together and all culminating in that awful morning, in Ballarat. Because obviously if he wouldn't have moved to Ballarat, Samantha would not have been attacked by Patrick. But would somebody else have ended up being attacked by Patrick? Would Patrick have done the same thing, but just in a different place? Wherever they lived, did Patrick have it in him to do it? Just when you look back and in a lot of these cases, I look back and people sometimes literally feels like they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like all these things sort of conspire into this fateful meeting, now, of course, the big question is, was Patrick waiting for Samantha that morning? Could be that he knew Samantha went on that run every day. We don't know that yet. Or was he just happened to go past and he was drunk or he was drugged up or whatever, and he decided to, attack Samantha just in a random thing? Or was it planned? Now, Shane Patton did say it was a planned, targeted attack on Samantha. He did say that. Planned, targeted, deliberate attack. Now, whether it was targeted deliberately just on that day, or had he been planning that? Had he been coming home from one of his benders before and seen Samantha running through the woods and thought, oh, there's an opportunity. We're going to have to wait quite a long time to find all that out, aren't we? Anyway, my wife Whitney's family is from Ballarat, and her younger brother Ryan was boarding at St. Patrick's College. He had some classmates, Luke Nunn and Ryan Knowles, that first got into Redan in his 18s to play with them. And at the beginning of 2002, Whitney and I made the decision, the very fateful decision, to move to Ballarat not long after her family had relocated back. Ryan got me in contact with Brett Quinlan, and from there I became a Lion. They say timing is everything in life. Was 2002 a good year to arrive? And Orren says, fantastic year. We had a really good side, and I was really surprised when I learned a little more about where Redan had come from in the last 5 years. I was very lucky to be part of a very good team. Anyway, so go on to ask him a lot about football, but there was another article that said more about his personal life, about his kids, but I don't know if it's this one. No, it's not this one. Let's see if I can find the other one. Orren Stephenson, son. Yeah. Let's see if I can find like a biography on him. Yeah, I've found like an article which sort of said more about his personal life. Well, I think it might have been this one. No, it's just an outline. That might be interesting. So, where does Orren Stephenson live now? His family home is in Mount Clear. So don't forget, that is where the police say that Samantha met her, demise, in Mount Clear. So Stevenson's family home is in Mount Clear, where he often stayed, while he lives in Scotsburn, about 16 kilometres from Ballarat. Do I can get that up? What article is that from? Yeah. Keeps, see, every time it keeps going to Patrick, of course, now, because Patrick is better known than his dad now, unfortunately, but for the wrong reasons, isn't it? That's the problem. Let's see what I can find. No. Anyway, I think we get the gist. He's very young. He's still only 41 years old. He's Patrick's dad. So he was very young when he had Patrick. I just want to know, how did, here he is with his kids. Let's have a look. So that must be Patrick there. I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's see if I can get that up. Got all these adverts come up when you go into these. Yeah, so there he is with Whitney. Obviously, this is 2000 and when was it? 2000. So this is, it can't be that long ago because Patrick looks about 8 there. He's with the daughters, his wife Whitney, and there's Patrick there. So, what happened to him? What happened to Patrick? How did he go from being a sort of young, innocent boy? Let's have a look at this one. Oh, where's that picture gone of him with his kids? Yeah, how did he become... No, it just keeps going back to that. I was trying to get the photo up a bit bigger, this photo up a bit bigger. So apparently he had 3 kids by the time he was 20. Let's see if this comes up with anything. Oh yeah, Orren Stephenson had 3 kids by the time he was 20. Now he's reveling in sharing his AFL revival with those closest to him. Dear me. So there aren't any other Tigers like Orren Stephenson. At 30, he's the 3rd oldest player at Richmond, behind Shane Tuck and Chris Newman. And it's a leak from where he sat at Geelong. What am I saying? Is it Geelong? Anyway, I'm bound to say it wrong. Where 7 players exceeded him in age. And he's a husband to his high school sweetheart Whitney and a father to 3 children. So at the time this article was written, his oldest daughter, Emily, will soon... what do they think of him, his sisters? Emily will soon turn 14. His son Patrick will soon be 12. And Sophie, the youngest, turned 10 earlier this year. So this was 10 years ago. So Emily will now be 24. And even Sophie, the youngest, will be 20 now. I feel for them, but, I do feel for them. I hope they maybe can have some effect on Patrick in giving away where Samantha is. So this is all about the football, but yeah. 3 kids by the time he was 20. I don't know. It's very sad, isn't it? Very, very, very sad. So, hi, Chumba. Yeah. Yeah, you do feel that maybe they may have known that. Also, it's quite a small community, isn't it? Or it feels like it is. I'm sure surely they must have known, at least Samantha and Mick's family, well, maybe they're not into NFL, but I'm sure it was sort of well known that an ex-NFL player lived in that area. I'm just trying to think of it like where I live, if there was an ex-Premier League player, living in this area, would people talk about it? But then, Samantha and Mick I don't really gossip with, you know, I don't get involved in the gossip around about, etc. But I suppose in that business that they had, you do get talking to people, don't you? You know, when you've got business, like I suppose for me, it'd be students tell me things, you know, and that's how I get to what's going on outside my little village, because I'm, you know, certainly, especially since COVID, I hardly go out the house, never mind out the village. I was out this morning at the beach. I took the dogs to the beach. It was lovely. It was so, so beautiful. It really was. And as always, I always think, oh, I should come here more often. But just sometimes, you know, I get involved in doing other things. And, you know, maybe Mick and Sam were like that, kept themselves to themselves. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Hi, Daisy. What, his father isn't famous, although? Well, I think he must be quite famous, Daisy, because there's loads of articles all about him all over the internet. So I think he must be quite well known. Yeah, so who knows? But let's just hope. Let's just hope that sooner or later. So anyway, the point really of coming on to do this video, for any of you that are coming in later, was he's been charged. He's been charged with more things. So I think I might just show that one more time, just so that anyone who's coming in late knows what the point of it was of coming on, because he has he's now been charged with drink driving, I suppose you'd call it, and drugs, driving driving a motorbike under the influence of drink and drugs. Of course, I won't be able to find it now. I've gone on to so many other things. So we have to remember he is still the alleged murderer. He's, you know, he hasn't been found guilty yet. But anyway, so what has he been charged with? Oh gosh, you can never get the right one up again. Huh. So my point is, why is he only just being charged for these charges that were from last year? Last year. So it just makes you wonder, did he get away with it because of who his father is? So let's just have a look at that news article again one more time.
The man accused of murdering Ballarat mother Samantha Murphy is facing new charges. Police have confirmed Patrick Stevenson was caught allegedly drunk and drug-affected after a crash in Ballarat just hours after last year's AFL Grand Final.
4 months before Patrick Orren Stephenson.
Now, any of you out there, do you know when is the AFL Grand Final? I don't know. I don't know what month it is, but anyway, last year. So this is something that happened quite a long time ago. Why was he not charged at the time? Why is he only just being charged now? This makes me a little bit angry.
Stevenson allegedly murdered Samantha Murphy, he was at the centre of more police attention. On the night of the AFL Grand Final, police say the 22-year-old was on a motorbike in Ballarat. It slammed into a tree, and when highway patrol officers attended, he failed an alcohol test. Stevenson was taken to Ballarat Police Station, where they say he also failed a drug test. He's been charged with drink and drug driving plus careless driving. But his bigger legal battle is over.
Well, why was he not charged last year when that happened? Is this his dad who's got him off on that? You know, I wouldn't be surprised, you know.
The death of mother of three Samantha Murphy in February, who went missing during a morning run from her Ballarat home. A month later, he was charged with her murder, but he continues to be uncooperative with detectives who are yet to find Mrs. Murphy's body despite repeated, widespread searches. Stevenson is set to face Ballarat Magistrates Court over both incidents on October 8. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
So there you go. So that's what I wanted to tell you about, really. He's been charged with something that happened last year. Maybe if he would have been charged at the time when it actually happened. So end of September, Daisy, thank you. Right, September. Yeah, so since September, why has he not been charged? I bet he's only been charged, you know, that will have been all. You can just imagine that scenario. He's got away with it. Most normal people wouldn't get away with it. He's got away with it because daddy's probably gone in there and used whatever influence he's got. You know, if the football players are held in such sort of esteem, etc., I'm sure he's got some clout there somewhere. It just makes you mad, doesn't it? Because it makes you wonder. I mean, we don't know for sure. Might not have changed what happened with Samantha, but I'm sure if he would have been charged properly and you know, face the consequences of what he did, because he would have been maybe 21 then, you know, old enough to face charges, or at least, you know, get some sort of maybe a suspended sentence or something like that. Maybe that would have made him think twice. I don't know. Well, I don't think the police have got nothing on him, Kelly. I think the police have got a lot on him. I don't think they would have charged him otherwise. I think what's probably happened is now they're trying to put pressure on him. So they're putting this back on. They've looked back. And don't forget, he's not dealing now with the Ballarat police. He's not dealing with the Ballarat good old boys who they know in the area. He's now dealing with the missing persons unit, with the more, you know, with other forces, the Victoria Police, etc., who won't be interested in how well he's known in the area. Even the mayor had a lot to say about the family, saying what a fantastic family they were and everything. You know, he didn't actually say that about Samantha's family. He said it about Patrick's family, you know, so that's the impression I get. I think he's been protected because of who his dad is. And then now they're going to bring up anything that he's ever got away with before, he isn't going to get away with now, thank God. But, you know, that's how it is in small towns. I'm not, you know, I know Ballarat's probably not that small, but that's how it is. People do get away with things if they know somebody. You know, so, well, yeah, there are lame charges, but he has been charged with murder. He has been charged with murder. He wouldn't have been charged with murder unless they were sure that they've not brought these charges in just to give just something to throw at him. They've already got enough to throw at him, but as they're investigating, things are coming up, and I think probably what's happened is he's got away with it at the time, and the police that are dealing with it now probably turned around and said, why did he get away with that? You know, he's not getting away with that. So they've just threw that out there, and it's probably to wind up you don't know what thing is. We don't know what's behind it. If he's they're trying to wind up the family, or trying to just throwing anything at him just to try and put some pressure on him, because you know, we just don't know what's going on when they interview him, etc. But I would take from that personally, that's just how it feels to me, is that they found out about that and they're going to charge him for it. And I think he got away with it in September because probably his dad knows somebody in the police or whatever. But he just, yeah. Exactly, Alana. So confident he was untouchable. So they were taking drugs in public. Not only him, those other boys as well. They were taking drugs in public. You know, like literally no shame whatsoever. Couldn't even go to the toilet and do it. You know, they were like just they. I think he'd think he was pretty untouchable, that boy. Don't you think? Like he's probably been cosseted all his life. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but that's how it strikes me as an outsider looking in. I reckon he's like the chip off the old block. He's the son, you know. He's like, oh, he's a mini me for Orren. Orren has got probably a very high estimation of himself from being an NFL player, and you know, bringing Patrick up as a chip off the old block. You know, it's just like do what you like, don't have to face the consequences. So you know, I think he's probably has been a brat, Kelly. But you know what? I don't know, but I think he probably has. I don't know, but I shouldn't speculate. But I'm speculating that he's a brat. Anyway, just thought I'd bring you that news. I'll be back on tonight. I'm doing a live tonight about the election. So for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are in Australia or America or any other country, you may not know, but in Great Britain today, it's been a very big day because it's been the local elections. And of course, you know, sometime this year we'll be having a general election in Britain. Thank God. I just cannot wait. And I want to talk about the election results because they also affect, even for those of you who are not in Britain, if you've been following the Nicola Bulley case, Andrew Snowden, who's the commissioner for police, you know, we've seen him often with videos that we've done about Nicola Bulley, and he's the one, you know, that made quite a few boo-boos, didn't he? And thing about Andrew Snowden is he's like a typical politician of this day and age in Britain. They're not proper, what I'd call proper politicians. They're career politicians. It's all about Instagram and Twitter. Oh, he posts all what he's having for dinner. You know, his Twitter account is just ridiculous, really, for a politician, for commissioner of crime, a serious job, you know. And he I know it's his person. He actually makes a point of, he doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks. He makes a point of saying, this is my private account. If you don't like seeing what I'm having for dinner, etc., don't look at it. You know, look at my official account. But still, it just doesn't feel right, does it? It'd be like, you know, he's a politician and he's got a big responsible job. Anyway, we'll find out by the end of today whether he's still got that job anymore, because he has been up for election again. Now, Andrew Snowden, he got in on the wave of like the Boris Johnson Brexit sort of revolution, if you like, that awful, well, to me, it was the ruin of Britain. You know, Britain's just gone downhill over the last 13 years anyway, but the last 5 years have been the worst. And that's what Andrew Snowden, he was voted in as a crime commissioner, a Conservative crime commissioner, whereas it had been Labour for years and years and years in his constituency. And he got voted. So he's up for election again, and the voting was yesterday. By the end of today, we'll find out you know, what's happened. If I can't imagine that he'll still get in, because there's already been one big shock result in the Blackpool area of a, you know, that's been Conservative forever, and now it's the Labour councillor has been voted in. So it doesn't look good for Mr. Snowden. He's been very quiet on Twitter, very quiet on Twitter today. But yeah, you know, this is a guy who's been posting all these lovely bottles of wine he's having a steak, it's curry night, it's this night, he's getting a new kitchen, doing this, that and the other, posting all that day in, day out, while people are struggling to even feed their children. And he's just posting all, you know, he's on 80 odd grand a year, he's just posting, and he's totally oblivious to it. And then when it came to his election campaign, he started asking for donations. So I liked his post and shared it and said, anybody want to help Mr. Snowden get re-elected? It was a sarcastic comment, but he doesn't understand sarcasm, because he then liked my comment. He obviously, and the fact that I'd shared it, he obviously didn't realise that I was being facetious. He thought I was seriously trying to you know, back him. But that's what he's like. He's oblivious to everything. He's today's typical career politician, shiny, like Rishi Sunak, all these bloody stupid, you know, adverts and this, that and the other, but there's no substance behind anything. It's all just like a game. It's a game to Rishi Sunak. It's a game. He doesn't, he's a billionaire, or his wife is. He doesn't need to be prime minister. He's not thinking he's not being prime minister because he wants to make Britain better. He's being prime minister because he just wants to say, oh, he was prime minister. You know, he's got 3 nationalities. He's whinging on about immigrants all the time. He's got 3 nationalities. He's British, he's Indian, and he's got a green card, an American green card. So make your mind up, Rishi. You know, where are you from? Just drives me absolutely mad. But anyway, so if you want to hear me ranting later, well, I won't be ranting. But, you know, all I would say is if you like the Conservative Party and you like Rishi Sunak, don't watch my live later, because it'll wind you up, because I'll be just so happy with the results. So that's what I'm going to be doing on the live later. We're going to have a whinge. We're going to have a whinge, and we're going to celebrate the end, hopefully, of this horrible Conservative Party. And you know what? No politician's perfect. I know that's impossible to be perfect, but at least be serious. Take your job seriously, not just, I mean, you know, that ridiculous advert that Rishi Sunak did at Christmas. And he's there, like he was home alone in number 10. Oh, am I the only one here? Yeah, you're the only one, Lex. You don't celebrate Christmas. And then he's advertising Coca-Cola. You know, he's probably got paid for doing that. Just makes me so mad, these horrible people. And the more money they've got, the more money they want. All they care about is money, and they don't care about people. He's a disgrace to be a prime minister of Britain. I just want Britain to be a proper country again, where people, I wouldn't care if it was a Conservative prime minister, if it was a proper one. You know, somebody who cared about Britain, not just about themselves. There you go. I've had my rant now. I've had my little rant now. And we see, the thing is, someone's got to be prime minister. So, you know, that's just the way the system is. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to win. Our system needs changing, in my opinion. It should be... I prefer proportional representation, where everyone works together for the good of the country, instead of one little despot, like just telling everybody what to do. But anyway, that's not going to happen anytime soon, but hopefully it'll happen one day. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. But what I'd like to see happen in my lifetime is that Britain recovers like a bit of a reputation, you know, good people who live in Britain and don't see anything outside Britain, news and things, I don't think people realise just what a joke Britain is to the rest of the world now. You know, even to its normal allies like America, and nobody cares about Britain now. They've lost all their clout, really. You know, but anyway. I'll have a little rant about that later. Who's Andrew Bridgerton? Andrew Bridgen, do you mean? Yeah. Don't know about him, but at least he says what he thinks. He's the Hobbit, isn't he? He's one of the Hobbit ones. They call them the Hobbits, don't they? Because there's a group of him. Anyway, never mind. Don't get Andrew Bridgen, yeah. Well, he said what he thought. I've got nothing against people who think who literally say what they think. I'd rather have that, even if I don't agree with them. I'd rather have that as somebody who's true to principles than just says what they think is, what they should say. But it's going to be interesting, the results of these local elections. And there's, Labour aren't, they're not out of the woods yet. There's a few problems, obviously, with the war, etc. A lot of people are voting reform. Reform is a popular that's the problem for the Conservatives. A lot of people who are on the right and can't bring themselves to vote Labour, they're voting for reform because they don't want to vote for the Conservatives either now. So that's a big look. I'm already talking about it. Maria, Ireland. I've got a student from Ireland who's just moved over to Spain to get away from the situation in Ireland. Nobody seems to be happy where they live at the moment. Everyone's angry with their governments. The Spanish people are angry with the Spanish government. It's just like nobody's happy at the moment, it seems. Strange, isn't it, really? Anyway, I've got to go. So I've got to go and make some lunch. So, I was ill last week. Well, now my son, he's ill this week. So, of course, he's got the man's version of it. So he's in bed. But I'm going to go and make him some lunch. Chumba wants to go to Spain. Yeah, but Spain's not perfect, I can assure you. But it's just all the same problems, but in a nicer environment, and you can go to the beach and it's nice, that's all. But I mean, Scotland is beautiful, isn't it, Chumba? I mean, it is a beautiful place. One thing you can't complain about in Spain is the garbage collection. Every day the rubbish is taken. There's a lot of things that are good about Spain, but there's a lot of things, no country's perfect, is it? And Spanish people are not happy with our president, who I love our president, but I always say that's because they don't know what it's like to have some of the prime ministers we've had. At least he's not a lettuce, or a liar, or, well, they think he is a liar, but. Okay, so hopefully I'll see you tonight. Have a good day, a good Friday. It's Friday. I'm going to have a little drinky. I'm going to have a little bit of wine with my lunch today, I think, as it's Friday. And I will see you all later. So remember to live and love carefully. Don't forget to put your fingerprint on the like button. In fact, I'm going to put my little banner on just because then I remember. Don't forget to leave your fingerprint on the like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It's completely free. And I'll see you later. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.